Beware Black Cat. No, not just any black cat, but the one with the glowing silver eyes and the long tail. A tail longer than its own body. You'll know it when you see it, but then again you may never see it coming. And if you do, it'll probably be the last thing you ever see. I can't really say for sure. Have you ever heard the story of Black Cat? No? No, of course you haven't. Though even if you had, I doubt you'd have believed it. Hell, I didn't believe it first, not until I saw it with my own eyes. But you ask yourselves, who is this guy? Or more importantly, why should I listen to him? I wonder even now if my words could save you. And to tell you the truth, it's been so very long. My name must have slipped my mind, but that's not important. Not important at all. Now let me tell you the story of Black Cat. And once again, I must insist, beware of Black Cat. I once lived in a boring old town. A town like any other. It was surrounded by trees on the west side, ocean on the east. It was a very old town. Nothing new ever happened there, which was probably why Black Cat chose it. We all heard the story of Black Cat, a fable to scare little children into being good.
Don't go into the woods at night, my dear,
the old women from town used to warn us,
or Black Cat will find you and take you away.
Even now I can hear their voices telling me that. When I grew up, I realised it was just a scary story. Or was it? Depending on who you heard it from, the story varied, but always had the same basis. A cat with silver eyes like the moon on a clear night, and a long black tail that would wrap around naughty children and whisk them away. Black Cat usually stayed near forest, using the trees as protection and camouflage, but was said to be able to blend into the cityscape like it was nothing, as long as there was a tree large enough to house it. Being a country boy at heart, I remained in that town, opening up a small business and doing my best to settle down. I invested in a small piece of land on the outskirts of town, right next to the trees, had my home built upon it, and enjoyed the tranquility. With the trees as my backyard, I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. As time passed, strange things would occur. I would hear scratches at my windows some nights, but nothing was ever there. I would see something out of the corner of my eye when outside, only to be found alone. I began to worry when the animals started turning up on my back doorstep. Dead birds, possums, I even found a half-eaten wallaby one night. I tried not to think about it. I had other things to worry about. The worst happened when my niece came to stay with me for a while. I had set her up in the spare bedroom, her own little paradise, but it didn't last for long. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night with her at my bed next to me, crying her eyes out.
"The monster at my window won't let me sleep,"
she gurgled out.
"Sometimes it screams for me to look at it."
I tried to think nothing of it, just a child's active imagination. But the last night she stayed, she came running into my room crying that the monster broke into her room and scratched her. Now again, I thought she was imagining things, until I saw the dark red claw marks up her arm. I told her to stay in my room with the lights on as I went out to investigate her room. The window was wide open, and at closer inspection, the lock was cut cleanly in half. You can imagine I was fairly worried at that point, so much so that I spent the night on my front porch hoping to catch the culprit. I still didn't think a Black Cat was real at that point, rather some sick fuck thought he could break in and touch my niece. The coolness of the night air keeping me awake as I stared at the moon and counted the stars. As my eyes began to fall to exhaustion, I saw movement on the edge of the tree line. I quickly rubbed my eyes, making sure I wasn't dreaming, and was quite sure on what I saw. It was a medium-sized cat. Its fur as dark as the night sky, and it had a tail so long it wrapped around the base of the tree. With its back to me, I couldn't see its eyes, but I was sure of it. It was Black Cat. I slowly crept up behind him, careful not to make a sound. As I came closer, it ran into the scrublands, and as stupid and tired as I was, I followed it in. It was a good 10 minutes of running before I realised I'd gotten lost in the darkness, causing panic to rush through my body. I looked towards the sky, hoping to guide my way back using the stars, but the top of the trees blocked my view. It was then that I heard it, a low-pitched purring sound from behind me, like an idling rumble from a Harley Davidson.
When I turned, my eyes fell onto Black Cat's. The silvery eyes that I'd been warned about as a child, now staring at me, staring so intensely it pierced my soul, causing fear to take a hold.
I couldn't move no matter how much I pleaded for my legs to run. I managed to slam my eyes shut, knowing it couldn't hypnotize me further if I couldn't see his eyes. It was then that I heard it, a deep voice in my head, the voice of Black Cat. It screamed inside my skull, taunting me.
Look at me!
It screamed.
Look at me!
It screamed this over and over into my mind, demanding my eyes to open. It took all of my might not to allow it to happen, but after 5 minutes my exhaustion caused me to lose the battle.
As my eyes slowly opened, I could hear its chuckle, knowing he had won. The feeling of fear holding my legs in place evaporated for a few seconds, and I took the chance to move. Immediately I ran in the opposite direction, knowing I would eventually hit a road or town.
Behind me I could hear its paws bound on my trail, a deep voice still echoing through my mind. In the darkness of the night, I couldn't see the ditch approach until it was too late, causing me to fall onto my face. I rolled onto my back instinctively, opening my eyes to find myself again staring into Black Cat's as it stood at the top of the ditch. With one final scream from him, my mind went dark and I lost consciousness. I don't know what happened to me after that, so I guess that's it for me. But you must be wondering why I told you that story. Would you like me to enlighten you? Of course you would, else you would have left already. I must ask this. Where do you live? In a small town? Or perhaps a city? Maybe you live in the middle of nowhere. It might not really matter. More specifically, where do you live? A regular old house, yes? Maybe a tree outside your window? You've seen the movement at night from that tree, right? Maybe a cat with a tail too long for its body? Noticed you before you did. Hear that scratching? Wake up! Don't open your eyes. Stay awake all night if you can. If you hear your window open, you must run fast. Run fast as you can, until daylight finds you. And remember what I said. Beware of Black Cat.